Hello, everyone, and welcome to our training How to be an Effective Analytical Thinker for Creative Design Supervisors. In today's face based marketing world, being creative isn't enough. We also need to be strategic. This training is designed to help you think critically, analyze deeply, and design with purpose. As creative design supervisors, your role isn't just to make things look great, it's to solve problems, understand users, and deliver real business impact through design. Over the next few stations, we'll explore how to break down complex design challenges, understand user behavior through data, identify root causes of failed designs, and forecast the impact of your creative choices. It's not just about designing better, but it's also about thinking better. Before we begin the training, our team already prepared a pre-test that is essential for you to complete. The link will be provided in the chat box any minute now. Thank you, and please do your best. Have a good luck, everyone.
I have also shared the link in the chat if you guys want to access it through there. You'll be given 8 minutes to do the pretest, yeah? You guys have 3 minutes left, yeah, to finish the pretest. Okay, guys, the time is up for the pretest. We will now move forward to the first session out of four sessions that we have today regarding the training plan for you guys. So the first session will be about analytical design advice. We'll be talking about structuring your analysis for clarity and impact, and also communicating these insights effectively to clients. So the reason why we chose this session is because a lot of you guys got it wrong for the question where you guys were asked that a client wanted a more eye-catching design, but evidence shows simpler visuals perform better. What should you do? And a lot of you guys chose that we should prioritize what the client wants. But in this situation, um, it is important to think about what the client wants, but at the same time, we need to be able to show them that we know what works better and we need to communicate it well to them so that they understand. So we'll cover about understanding the purpose of design, structuring analysis for clarity and impact, and how to communicate these insights persuasively to clients. Whether you're a designer, analyst, or strategist, the goal is the same: make your work meaningful and actionable. So for the first section, we will understand the purpose of design. Let's start with a simple truth. Good design isn't just about looking good. It's about making communication more effective. Visually appealing designs must serve a clear objective. Think of the design as the silent guide in your presentation. It's directing attention, emphasizing action, and reinforcing brand identity. Imagine this. You have a gorgeous interface, but the user doesn't know where to click or what to do next. That's not design, that's only decoration. So first, design has to have a purposeful communication. Every element, every color, every shape, every layout must point the user towards a goal, such as clicking, converting, subscribing, or purchasing. So prioritize, you should prioritize action and not aesthetics. For example, you should focus on highlighting call to action buttons. Can users instantly tell what they should do next? And you should also avoid over designing. Overloaded visuals can kill clarity. You should choose simplicity and order. Remember, a clear path beats a pretty maze. So here's an example about understanding the purpose of design. You're designing a report dashboard and you add flashy animations, um, gradients, charts with 6 colors, but your client just wants to know which channel drove the most leads. So you should cut all the fluff. Use 2 charts, clear labels, and bold KPIs. Sometimes your client doesn't want to see good looking charts. They don't want to see the aesthetics, but they want to understand. So you need to make it simple, clear, and effective for them. Design is like a good referee. It's best when it's invisible and helps the game flow. For the second section, it's about structuring your analysis for clarity and impact. So once your design supports your message, your next job is to structure your insights in a way that's easy to digest. Here's the golden rule. Sequence your story from simple to complex and always lead with the so what. Let's break this down to 2 main tasks, as you can see on the presentation. So first, when you're organizing the data, you need to focus on 4 main sections. The first section is an executive summary. Start with a short overview. What matters most to the client? What are the key takeaways? What are their goals? And what findings relate to these goals? And then after you find these insights, you break the insights into logical sections. For example, in the segment findings, you have to break it down again to the overview, the key trends, and impacts. Make sure that you avoid dumping data. You might think that data will you seem more, make you seem like you analyze more, you have more information. But sometimes overloading data to the clients make them more confused. You should break it up and make it clear to them so they understand what they're looking at. And then you don't just give them numbers and data, but you have to make it easy to digest, which is why data visualization is also just as important. You need to use charts, graphs, and heat maps. But again, don't just show them. You need to explain them. What is this graph saying? Is a question you should always answer in every slide. So if we go back to what we were talking before about the question, should we prioritize what the client wants, or should we prioritize what the data shows? This is how you can show it to the client. You can say that we understand that um, you want a more crowded design, but based on our data, it is shown that simple designs have a better impact. And then, so the key takeaways is that you need to summarize actionable insights at the end of each section, and each section with a summary of what the data means and connect it back to the business goal. Think of this like structuring a great news story. You have the headline, you have the body, you have the evidence, and you have the conclusion. So as I mentioned before, you have to align it with the client goals. The best insights are aligned to what your client actually cares about. It's not about what you find interesting, it's what they need to act on. So when you're aligning it with the client goals, you need to focus on 3 main sections. The first section is you need to focus on key performance indicators. Which metrics matter? Um, you have to think about the revenue, you have to think about the conversion rate, and you need to keep a laser focus on the goal. The second one is benchmarking. Show how performance compares to past campaigns or industry averages. So you don't just benchmark about your past performance, but you also benchmark it with competitors in the same industry. What did they do and was it successful, or what did they not do and how did that impact their performance? Benchmarking is a great way for clients to understand the importance of implementing certain things. And especially if you compare it to competitors, it makes them more aware of what else is happening outside of their company. And of course, at the end, you need to provide clear recommendations. So after you give them all the data, all the visualizations, and when you give them the KPIs and the benchmarking, you don't just leave them with the numbers. End it with clear, actionable steps. If, for example, if the engagement is down, say, test shorter subject lines. If conversion is low, say, refine landing page layout. You need to give them a clear step-by-step on how they can improve this. So here's a tip. After you present an insight, you present information, ask yourself first, so what do we do next? If you can't answer it, don't present it. That means it doesn't have a clear impact to what you're trying to show to the client. Okay, so this is how you can maintain a good relationship with your clients. Okay, so you've got the insights, you've got the design, you've got the information. Now, how do you deliver them powerfully? So first, you need to use persuasive storytelling techniques. Storytelling isn't just for movies. It's a secret weapon in presentations. Here's the structure. Start with the client's problem, their main problem. For example, your bounce rate is 25% higher than the industry average. Everyone knows what a bounce rate is, right? And then you explain why it matters. For example, users may be leaving quickly, which is bounce rate, due to poor CTA visibility. And then you back it up with data. The heat maps show that only 10% of users reach the CTA. And, and then you have to give a data-backed solution. Moving the CTA higher could boost click-throughs by 20%. So you need to make sure that you break it up. You have a problem, you have the impact, you have the cause, you have the data that shows the cause, and then you have a solution. This creates trust between you and the client. They understand that you know a lot about what's happening, and they will believe you, they will trust you, and they will accept your recommendation. Remember never to say that they are wrong or, oh, that's not how it works. You make sure that you say that I understand where you're coming from, but based on the data. So you need to make sure that you still have to have empathy. You still need to understand them. And then you need to deliver these recommendations with confidence and professionalism. Even the best analysis can fall flat if delivered poorly. So here are the three main things you should do. You should be clear and direct, no jargon, just the message. As I mentioned before, use data as proof. Say, we saw a 15% drop after this change. Don't say that I think that this might be caused. You don't sound confident. You don't sound like you understand why this is happening. And then lastly, you need to stay confident and professional. Own your findings. Be confident. Because here you are the person giving them advice. You're the person giving them recommendations. And how can they trust you if you don't seem confident in your own findings? And even though you're confident, still be open to feedback. Don't shut the client out because clients respect collaboration. You shouldn't be taking the lead, but you should be leading them to the right way. So, this balance between authority and humility builds trust and makes your advice more likely to be accepted. Ultimately, your job is to empower your client to make the best decision and not to impress them with complexity. Wait, sorry. Can you go back? Okay. Do you guys have any questions before I explain a bit more? No? Okay. To understand it more, wait, sorry. Okay, so I will give you guys a quick prompt. Think about the last report or dashboard you saw. Was it easy to understand? What action to take, or was it too designed? I will give you guys 1 minute to think, and we can discuss quickly about your last report dashboard. Okay, does anyone want to share about their past report dashboard? It can be brief. You can just talk about like it was hard for the client to understand when you were showing it and why you think it was that way. Okay. Aktar Siregar, do you want to share about your last report dashboard? It can be about anything.
My last report dashboard is kind of interesting, especially because I still don't have the skills to do it. So I think it's not that great actually.
Was it because it was confusing, or there was too much data, or was there not enough visualizations?
I think it's because of not enough visualization and it's too much data too.
Too much? Okay. Okay. I will now continue about how to communicate difficult data. I understand that sometimes you guys have a lot of data and you don't know how to organize them. You don't know how to present it to the client, especially as someone who doesn't understand design and as someone who can't really, who can't interpret the data properly. So when you are communicating difficult data, you should use a three-part approach when showing underperformance specifically. So first, you should acknowledge the result and compare it to the target that the client already has. For example, the past advertisement that we released last week had a 0.7% conversion rate, which is lower than our target of 1.5%. Make sure that you always explain the target. This makes them realize how far off they are from the target giving them a sense of urgency, like, oh, this matters. And then you should explain the context clearly. So, for example, last week we launched during a major competitor's campaign, and we weren't able to segment the audience effectively. And after you explain the context, you should show what's next. So we've restructured the targeting and we are reallocating the budget. Early tests show a 22% increase in engagement. And as we learned before, we shouldn't release our advertisement or campaign too close to a competitor's campaign. So the client understands what's happening and they are not overloaded with data. We need to make it simple for them. And you have to be proactive, not reactive. So don't wait for the client to find the issue. Uh, Make sure that that never happens. It's okay for the client to ask about, like, oh, is it because of this? Is it because of that? But if they say something like, oh, is it because of this? And you reply, oh, maybe, that means that you're not in control of the data. Um, so you need to make sure that you find the issue and you lead with it. That's why it's important. You learn about this in the other sessions, but it's important to find about the root causes of many different sections of the issue. You don't just focus on one issue and that's one cause. One issue might have a lot of causes, which is why it's important for you to analyze the issue properly. So, yeah, you guys have any other questions? No? Okay. Now I'll be talking about design and data interpretation based on human psychology. So this is specifically about your data visualization. And we are going to be talking about 4 different types. We have cognitive load, we have color psychology, and also pattern recognition. So how can we leverage how people think and feel when they see data and visuals? So as I mentioned before, there's cognitive load. When there's too much information, people lose attention. And there's color psychology. This is very important when you show data. It shouldn't be too colorful, but you can use colors to signal different things. For example, you could use red to signal urgency, blue can build trust, and green can encourage action or show accuracy. And you should always use consistent layouts and labels to reduce frictions. This is a very small thing you could do, but it's important when you're showing data visualization to the clients. You should always use the same fonts, choose the same sizes, make sure that the colors are not too bright or too contrast with one another. And you should make sure that all the layouts are clear when they are reading the visualization. So, and then how can you tell a data story without losing your audience? When you have a lot of data and you're trying to explain it to the client, they may feel confused and it might take a little bit long, which is why you should use the ABT framework. ABT is and, but, therefore. So, for example, sales increase, but churn also rose. Therefore, we need retention strategies. This adds tension and resolution like a story arc. And remember, always end it with, here's what we recommend doing next. Okay, and I will just be giving you some type of different platforms that you can use when you are showing these data. So there are different types of categories that you can use depending on the data. If you have data and reporting, you can use Looker Studio, Tableau, Power BI. All of these platforms are given to you guys, and it should already be in your email for the login info. For the design, you can use Figma, Canva, Adobe. For communication with one another and also with other teams, we have Notion, Pitch, Loom for async reports, and bonus. Of course, in this ever-growing community of AI, it is okay to use AI, but make sure that you don't 100% rely on it. It can help you, but at the same time, you are smarter than AI because you have emotions. You understand human psychology, whereas AI doesn't. So remember, it is only a guidance, not a replacement. Okay, so that is all for me today. Um, some concluding statements is that you need to understand that design isn't just about style. It's about guiding the user to action. Structure helps your ad audience absorb insights step by step. As as a design supervisor, when you are with a client, you need to make sure that they understand and that you make it clear. You make them trust you with your information and your recommendation. Communication is what transforms analysis into decisions. And if you can combine all those three key points, you become more than a designer or an analyst. You become more of a strategic advisor in design. Okay, does anyone have any questions before we go to the next session? Okay, thank you.
So the next session will be root cause of design issues. And first, understanding why a design fails and how to diagnose and solve design problems. The first step is to identify the root cause of design problems, and the next step is to developing and implementing effective solutions. So the main objective is to identify failure. After you've been given the case study, you will be instructed to create a fishbone diagram, which consists of identifying the main problem and dissecting the problem to identify the main branches. The main branches will consist of process, tools, design, content, and user insight. After making a fishbone diagram, you will be told to prioritize the three main topics and briefly mention what should be your next steps.
I have sent the case study in the chat. You guys will have 15 minutes to create the fishbone, 10 minutes to make the risk matrix, and 5 minutes to briefly present your ideas. And make sure that you guys verbally discuss in the meeting so we can see how you guys work together and how you guys communicate your ideas.
Okay, so since this is a group discussion, you are allowed to turn on your mic to discuss with your partners in making this fishbone.
Well, I think for the problem in people is that if I read the case, I think Maya is push for a bold design without validating user comfort, I guess. And also, Nina prioritize visual over usability. How about you guys?
Uh, I think they shouldn't rely on their guts or feelings because it says that the version B is felt more exciting, although version A is the layout is more focused on CTA. Yeah.
For me, same like Pilar. First, Nina, the creative design supervisor, she led the team to prioritize like the creativity over usability, and then for Maya, that I see is push for boldness without balancing clarity, and also for the team assumption, I think that exciting visuals would inherently translate to user engagement.
Well, for the content, I think there's a messaging issues where messaging was overshadowed by visual effects, and user reported confusions and didn't know where to click. And also, the content hierarchy was unclear, making it hard to understand the campaign purpose quickly.
For user insight, I think there is missed audience understanding that fail to consider how real users would interact with the design, especially under time constraints or on mobile. And then after that, there is overlooked the importance of clarity and simplicity for effective user engagement and didn't account for user feedback or pain points until after launch.
For the design, I think it's failed because it's overly animated, so it felt really chaos to the point that the client is confused whether to click, so it reduces the CTA. And also the
And
heavy
also,
animation.
mm, oh yeah, and the heavy animation, I think it will like get distorted if the customer see it on their phone.
Okay, guys, let's fill the fishbone.
For the fishbone, you guys have 5 minutes. 5 minutes left.
Okay, so the time is up for the fifth vote. You can now go to the risk matrix.
For the matrix, you can choose three most impactful causes that you think has a great impact and you need to solve. It can be up to you guys and it's up to interpretation, but please discuss verbally in the meet.
For the first risk that I think the most impact is ignoring data from A/B testing. And what we can do to prevent that risk is to establish a strict policy to follow data-driven decisions, require that all major creative decisions be validated by test result before launch.
For the second risk that has a lot of impact, I believe, is their poor mobile experience, and they can implement mandatory mobile usability testing before launching and optimizing all of the assets for the mobile performance and also the user clarity.
I agree with both Gilat and Alia, and I just want to add the third risk. I think there will be also confusing UI and messaging, and to mitigate the risk is to simplify the interface and content hierarchy, or conduct user testing to ensure the CTA and messaging are clear and prominent.
I think we're done, sir.
Okay, now we will have a break for 5 minutes.
Oh, wait, they need to discuss their findings first. Just briefly discuss for 5 minutes about your fishbone, your main issue, and what you guys focused on for each section, and also the risk matrix and why you guys chose that, and the solution. You can pick one representative to present. We will give you guys 3 minutes to discuss who presents.
Can I start for summarize all the works that we do? So, from the fishbone cause effect, there are six problem. There are people, process, tools, and design content, and also user insight. And we can see that from people, mostly the problem is located on uh, choosing excitement for data and then push bold design without violating user comfort, prioritize visual over usability, and then there are user insight problem that tend to overlook mobile user impatience with slow animations and also misread audience preference for simplicity. This a fact that caused the main problem, which is poor campaign performance characterized by low low click through rates (CTR), high bounces rate, and also user completions. And from this fishbone and also our discussions, we get that risk metrics and mitigations. Uh, for us, the first high risk and high probability was ignoring data from A/B testing, and our solutions for that risk is to establish a strict policy to follow data-driven decisions, require that all major creative decisions be validated by test result before launch, and then there was a second. Second risk that have mid impact and also mid probability, which was poor mobile experience. And our mitigations was to implement mandatory mobile usability testing before launch. And the last one is confusing UI and messaging. We put this risk at the below the second risk, which is mid impact and also mid probability. And our mitigation was to simplify the interface and content hierarchy, and then also conduct user testing to ensure the CTA and the messaging are clear. And also there is other solutions that come up when we doing our discussions. That the first short solution is to follow the data. What we can do is we make decision based on AB results, not subjective preference. For example, if version A win in testing launched, then refine for excitement without sacrificing usability. And the second one is to optimize for mobile first. The action was test designs on slower connections and smaller screen before launch. For example, reduce heavy animations, prioritize fast load times, and ensure CTAs are thumb friendly. The last one is simplify and prioritize the CTA. Action is to make the call to actions larger, higher contrast, and animation free. The example was use a bold button color, for example, neon green, and place it clear visual hierarchy. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys for your work and collaboration. You can now have a break until 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you.
Full on cancel. Udah, kelar. Okay, guys, so it's 3 o'clock now, and we will move on to the third session. Cool.
For the third session, it is user behavior insights. First, to analyzing user behavior from data, and second, to applying insights to design decisions. First off, we will start with the right data. Effective user experience or UX analysis begins with selecting and interpreting the right kind of data. While visual appeal and user opinions matter, they are often subjective. To truly understand how a product performs, trainers must teach participants to focus on concrete user behavior data or what users do, not just what they say or what the product looks like. For a tip, don't rely solely on feedback or aesthetic track user behavior. For the first one, focus on user actions, not just opinion or aesthetics. User actions such as clicks, scrolls, and navigation are most accurate indicators of what's working or not. While opinion and aesthetic matter, they can be misleading if not supported by behavior. For example, users praised the new search feature in interviews, but analytics showed it had near zero usage over a month. Second, use both quantitative and qualitative data. Qualitative data or numbers like click and rates and exits shows us what's happening at scale. Qualitative data like session recordings and heat maps helps us understand why users behave in a certain way. For example, a form had a low completion rate, but recordings revealed users were confused by unclear labels. Why is it risky to rely on numbers alone without looking at behavior usually? Next. Second, data strengths framework. Not at all, not all data is equally strong for making decisions. Here is how to prioritize for and use each type. For the first one, there is CTR or engagement. The strength alone is high action, and you only use it when you need clear evidence of effectiveness. For example, after changing a CDA or navigation. Second, heat maps. The strength is medium or attention. When you want to understand visibility and attention patterns, especially for new layouts. Third, scroll depth. The strength is medium when you need to ensure important content is seen and not ignored. And the last one is feedback or surveys. It is low and you only use it when you want to support findings with user sentiment, but not for making primary decisions. Wait, can you actually go to the previous slide? Okay, maybe next. Okay, next. And then, no, previous. Practice scenario diagnosing and acting on user behavior data. For example, there will be a scenario as if you've launched a new call to action or CTA button on a web page. Post-launch survey feedback is positive. Users say they like the new design and messaging. However, the click-through rate or CTR is unexpectedly low. This means that despite positive feedback, users are not clicking the button as much as expected. So what we need to do is diagnose the issue using multiple data points. For example, there are CTR, heat maps, scroll depth, bounce rate, and session recordings, but it is optional. For the CTR, you have to confirm that the button isn't getting enough clicks. This is your starting point indicating if there is a potential problem. Second one, heat maps. You should check if users are actually noticing the button. A heat map might show that users rarely hover or click on the CTA area, suggesting poor visibility or placement. Third, determine if users are scrolling far enough to even see the button. If the button is placed too low or maybe too high on the page and users drop off before reaching it, this explains so much about the CTR. Bounce rate, you have to analyze if users are leaving the page quickly without interacting. A high bounce rate might indicate that users don't find the content relevant or engaging enough to explore further. Last one, you have to watch recordings to observe any hesitation, confusion, or distractions around the CTA area. This can reveal UX issues that numbers alone can't show. Second one, what you need to do is analyze and form hypothesis. If heat maps show little attention on the button and scroll depth, data shows users rarely reach that part of the page. The problem is likely visibility and placement. If users do see the button but still don't click, session recordings might reveal confusing wording, distracting elements nearby, and unclear benefits. And if the bounce rate is high, users might be leaving before even seeing the CTA, indicating a mismatch between user expectations and page contents. Last one is recommend data-driven changes. Based on the data, propose actionable change such as maybe moving the CA higher or maybe lower on the page to increase the visibility, simplifying or clarifying the CTA text to better communicate value, reducing distractions around the button area, and then maybe you could improve the page content to reduce bounce and encourage scrolling. And then emphasize that recommendations are grounded in measurable user behavior rather than just positive feedback. Key takeaways. This final section recaps the core lessons, ensuring that trainees leave with a clear understanding of how to interpret and apply user behavior data. For one, the strongest evidence of success is an increase in CTR. CTR directly measures user engagement with a specific element, such as button or link. When CTR goes up after a change, it shows that more users are taking the desired action, which is a clear and objective sign that the change worked. Always justify design or content changes with actual user behavior, not just user feedback or opinions. User feedback and opinions are valuable for understanding user sentiment and motivations, but they can be biased or inaccurate. People might say they like the feature, but not use it, or vice versa. Wait, there is Adan.
Okay, so JJ has explained about the different types of things we can identify for user behavior. And I will continue about how we can apply these insights and apply these user behaviors into practical design decisions and iterative improvements. So, the first topic I will talk about is the power of micro iterations in design. So, instead of launching a huge redesign all at once, we can break it down into smaller experiments. For example, have you realized that sometimes applications such as Instagram, they might apply a new they might update it, and then all of a sudden it disappears. That means that they are doing a testing. They are microdosing the consumers, allowing them to try these different updates, and then they analyze whether they like it or not. And if it fails, then they don't go through with the idea. So we can do A/B testing with a call to action button, changing the color, the text, the position, or try alternating homepage layouts for different user segments. You can also slowly introduce changes to headlines, images, or product placements. And this helps not to overwhelm the users because do you guys remember when Instagram had a big update? And even though it was aesthetic, it kind of took us a while to understand how it works, where everything went. And that's why people sometimes do micro iterations to not overwhelm the users. It allows us as designers to learn fast and fail safe. Small adjustments, when backed by behavior data, can add up to significant impact without the risk of overwhelming users. Um, so you guys can imagine what I'm talking about. I will be give an example of booking.com. You guys know what booking.com is, right? So, Booking.com is known for its relentless A B testing culture. Instead of redesigning its entire booking flow, they continuously test small elements. Button text like book now versus reserve, which one has which one has higher clicks. They do layout tweaks or they change the position of reviews to make it easier for the users. And this micro iteration approach has allowed them to increase conversion rates incrementally over time. So they don't aim for a complete change in these user insights, but they want to see how it gradually changes without ever overhauling the whole site. They've reported running over 1,000 concurrent tests daily. But because the changes are so simple and so small, users don't get overly confused. So small changes tested rigorously gave Booking.com massive compound results without risking UX stability. So, the second key point I will talk about is prioritizing design fixes based on business impact. So, you guys just did a risk matrix, right? So, you guys know that not every design issue deserves equal attention. We have to learn to rank problems by their effect on KPIs, such as what DJ has explained, conversions, engagements, and things like that. For example, if heat maps show people aren't even seeing the CTA, that's more urgent than a drop down menu that's slightly underused. You need to be able to create a data to design prioritization matrix, urgency versus the impact to make decisions more structured. Um, a real life example is Amazon. What they did is that they noticed that their scroll depth and their click data that users often miss the add to cart button on project pages due to clutter and content overload. And of course, that's a huge impact as Amazon's main aim is to make it easier for users to buy what they want. And if they rarely click And if they rarely see the add to cart button, it defeats the whole purpose of Amazon.com's aim. So what they did is that what they just talked about, they streamlined the product page. They analyze where the users scroll to and where they focus on where they scroll to using the heat maps. So this gives the add to cart area a fixed, consistent location and clear contrast, making it much easier for the users to see the add to cart and not be overwhelmed on how they can use the website. This single improvement, even though it seems a bit simple, contributed significantly to increasing conversion rates, directly tying design action to revenue. So Amazon did not fix every issue they had, but they fixed the most important thing tied directly to purchases, which is why it's very important to prioritize the issues and understand how urgent they are and how much of a big impact they have. This allows you guys to also manage your time properly, because trying to fix every single issue there that doesn't even have a big impact will be very time consuming, because redesigning and moving things is not a simple task. And then the third main key point is the role of empathy in data-driven design. So data tells us what users do, but empathy helps us understand why they do that. So behind every click or scroll is a human motivation. Maybe they're in a rush, maybe they're confused, or they're curious. And when we combine these quantitative metrics with qualitative empathy, our designs become more human centered. For example, a role of empathy in data driven design is Airbnb. So, what Airbnb noticed is that many users stopped applying to be a host at the photo upload step when they created a listing. So data suggested it was a bottleneck, but not why. So what they found out through empathy and qualitative insights, they did interviews and they revealed that hosts were intimidated by the idea of needing professional quality photos. So they feel like to be a host, they need to have good pictures, or not, they won't be competitive with the other hosts and the other Airbnbs already on the website. And Airbnb did not just ignore this fact. They try to empathize with the users. They try to understand why they feel like this. Airbnb introduced a free professional photography in major cities and simplified image upload instructions. This creates trust between the users of Airbnb, the hosts, and also Airbnb. They understand that, oh, this company truly cares about their hosts, truly understands what their hosts needs, which is why Airbnb was um, Airbnb had a great impact by doing this. Listings with verified photos saw more bookings, and completion rates of applications for new listings significantly increased. So, knowing this example, it can also be a recommendation that you use for your clients. So, for example, if your client doesn't show enough empathy, you can tell them that you need to build trust with your users. And you can do this through redesigning, you can give recommendations, you can give things like that. Again, we as creative design supervisors don't just focus on design. It's a branched out it's a branched out section, and which is why empathy is also equally as important. So behavioral data showed the problem, but empathy uncovered the why of the problem. And together, we and the client, we try to solve that to make the users feel more comfortable and feel more trusting to our clients. And the the last topic is a data to design transformation. So this is a real world case example. So a retail site saw a high bounce rate on their product pages. Data showed people were dropping off before scrolling to product spaces, and heat map confirmed specs were too far down. They moved the specs up, added icons for quick scanning, and CTR to cart increased by 18%. Data alone does not design. We as humans do. But data gives us the map to navigate smarter decisions. So, do you guys have any questions? No, no questions? Okay. Um, I will also be talking about, so when we are analyzing user behaviors, users will use different types of electronics. Um, so for example, it can drastically change depending on the device. Because of course, how the websites look like on desktops, laptops, phones, iPads, they all look different, right? So how do we compare it? That is what I'll be explaining to you. So a design that works well on desktop might fail on mobile due to thumb reach, load times, or navigation complexity. So for an example, mm, uh, when you guys look at LinkedIn, do you guys prefer using your mobile device or do you prefer using your laptop? Anyone can answer.
Laptop.
Laptop. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Some devices are much more simpler and much more effective when it's on a different uh, a different device. So the problem is LinkedIn saw lower engagement on their mobile job search interface compared to desktop. So when they checked their data inside, heat maps showed mobile users avoided tapping small job cart links, and scroll tracking showed users abandoning search early. So what LinkedIn did is that they redesigned job cards with larger tappable areas and simplified filters for mobile. This made sure that everything was easy to access, comfortable for the users, and made them equally as comfortable on different devices. And because of this, mobile job applications increased significantly, improving the value of LinkedIn's mobile app. So the same design does not behave the same way across platforms. The data made it obvious. So when you guys are analyzing a client's website, don't only focus on the data you're given on one device. You do need to check all the different devices, such as the click rates on laptops and phones. And this allows you to compare what you need to fix on each type of device as it will be different. Um, Also, we will be talking about page load time and behavioral impacts. No matter how good a design looks, if it loads slowly, users bounce before interacting at all. Load time has a measurable effect on conversion rates, which is why we have given you guys the top quality platforms for you guys to edit these websites and to edit um everything to make sure that this does not happen, as it can greatly impact the client. So um, an example is Walmart. So a 1 second improvement in page load time, they saw up to a 2% increase in conversions. Imagine 1 second can have an impact. So imagine if the website you guys create has a load time that's much longer. Imagine what type of negative impact that will have. So hopefully you guys as creative design supervisors do not get any negative feedback about load times. And if you guys do have any concerns or anything, you can always reach out to us and we will always do our best to help you. So don't be afraid to reach out. And going back to Walmart, um, for the behavioral data insight, session recordings showed that users were abandoning product pages before interacting due to slow image loads. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys have experienced it. You guys open something and the picture's taking so long and it makes you uninterested. Go, you don't end up purchasing it or you don't end up booking it. So we have to make sure that that the websites we make are optimized in image loading and move non-essential scripts to load later. So as I mentioned before, prioritizing is very, very important in design. If there's something that has a low click rate and has a um, and has a low click rate, you can make it load longer or later when compared to things that are actually important. So the result is that they reduce the bounce rate and increase time on site, leading to better purchase rates. So design is not just visual, performance is UX. And for the last thing I'll be talking about is about cognitive load and simplicity in design. I've actually mentioned it briefly before, but even beautifully designed pages can fail if they overwhelm users. Simplifying choices reduces cognitive friction and improves decision making. So, for example, um, for the application Spotify noticed users were getting overwhelmed by the long menus and genre filters when creating playlists. Um, Data and UX insights showed that heat maps showed users weren't exploring these filter options, and session replays revealed hesitations, which is why they created a made for you section with fewer personalized options using AI and simplified filters. Do you guys ever use the made for you album on Spotify? Yeah, that was actually created by a design problem. So they saw that people were being overwhelmed, so they automatically made this made for you to make it easier for the users. And their engagement with playlist creation and listening time went up. So sometimes less content leads to more interaction, and data helps spot that balance. So I will have a quick discussion prompt from all of the real world examples and cases that I have talked about. Which one made you guys the most surprised and why? Kyla, Sana, do you want to express your thoughts about which case was most surprising or most interesting? It can be anything.
I think about Airbnb and Booking.com because I don't know that those two applications, yeah, some user feels like confusing when you use those applications. So I don't think that it is a good example.
Okay, thank you. So this whole session, I have been talking about what you should do. And to conclude the session, I will be talking about what you should not do so you guys remember. So first, you shouldn't overreact to small data samples. You should not ignore qualitative feedback entirely, as qualitative feedback can also help you design a more comfortable, a more effective design. You should not focus on vanity metrics, even though data can help you. Um, Data plus feedback and empathy and things like that can also lead to a better design. And you should not make too many changes at once, as it can overwhelm the users. And make sure that before you do make any changes, you do um, discuss it and you do present it to the client first, as they may not like it if we completely change something and do not tell them yet. So make sure that you guys do that. And thank you. That is all for session 3 about user behavior insights. Thank you.
Now we are moving on to the fourth session, which is going to be design impact forecasting. In this session, we're going to learn about how we're going to forecast performance based on trends and data, and we're also going to make data-driven creative decisions. So in this session, we'll explore how to predict the performance of your design before it goes live. So in this creative work, we need to make a great design, but not about look, but also about the driving the real results. To practice this, you guys need to work in groups and do a focus group discussion. And you all are going to think this like a real design, which is going to be analyzing, brainstorming, and presenting a new visual direction based on hypothetical data. Uh, Based on my recommendation, you guys should focus more on the data, the design and trends, the preference, and many more on the case. So as you can see, this is the case which you guys are going to discuss from the client, the issue, and what are your next steps. Here are also your focus on to the discussion, and starting from the specific elements, the types of data, the visual styles, the how can we measure it to success, the experiments, and what should the final visual direction say. You guys have 5 minutes to understand the case first, and you can look from the slides here. Is there any question regarding the case for the FGD? If not, you guys can continue with your FGD.
You guys will have 5 minutes first to understand the case study.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the guiding questions. So for each question, you guys have 5 minutes to answer each one, and you can directly answer it to us. So you guys have 5 minutes to answer this question. On what specific elements of last year design might have led to misinterpretation or confusion among users? You may discuss first for 5 minutes.
For the answer to questions number one, I think my group and I have discussed that what we can do is to what specific element of last year design might have led to misinterpretations or confusion among users. The first is ambiguous visual or messaging. Last year campaign may have used visual icons or taglines that were unclear or open to multiple interpretations, leading to confusions. And the second one is inconsistent branding. Elements that did not align with everywhere's brand identity could have caused users to misunderstand the campaign intent. And the third one is complex layout. Overly busy or cluttered design can distract user and obscure the main message. And then the fourth one is cultural insensitivity, imagery or language that didn't resonate with or was misunderstood by the target audience. And the last one is our actions to address these questions is to conduct user interview and analyze feedback to pinpoint which visual, word, or layout caused the most confusion.
And for the second question, which types of data would be most valuable to analyze in order to get the redesign? The first one is the first aspect that we need to see is the engagement metrics, such as tracking social media likes, shares, and comments. Also, the heat maps and user flow by using tools like Google Analytics to see where user clicked, scrolled, or dropped off. And also the conversion data, analyzing the web analytics for bounce rates, time on site, and conversion rates from campaign and landing pages. And to address this issue is that we need to analyze social media likes, shares, comments, and overall interaction rates and determine which posts or design elements generated the most positive engagement. For the second question, you mentioned how you will focus on social media, and based on what you've based on your data, which social media do you think will give the most important data and why? I think it would be Instagram because most people nowadays use Instagrams and it's like one of the main source of information and social media that this companies use nowadays. Okay. For the third question, what kinds of visual styles or storytelling formats are likely to resonate with everywhere's target audience this year? So, what type of campaigns do you think will be effective? What type of storytelling will you put on the websites? For example, as you know, like some websites give product reviews or things like that. Can you guys please discuss with the group what type of styles you guys think will be good for everywhere?
To match with everywhere target audience, I think for me, um, we have to try several styles or formats to we have to try our several styles or format that's suitable with our customers, and also maybe we can like research a current visual trend in fashions industry, or or lifestyle that appeal to a lot of customers, I think. And then we need to enhance the authenticity and also relatability to customer because often for apparel or fashions customer, they tend to buy a product if they feel relate to the product itself. So I guess the visual and also the storytelling format, I guess it's based on trends and also based on customer survey. Uh,
What about the others? Do you guys have any other insights?
Same like Dilara, but maybe if I need to make a campaign, maybe I can analyze from the competitors' campaign and use the same as the competitors, but make it more engaging.
How do you think you can make it more engaging? Are there any examples?
By adding like the other stuff that is better, such as like maybe if they do the visual by storytelling, maybe we can make it a more engaging more engaging story, especially for a campaign, and we can like add other stuff too.
Maybe like I want to add by using interactive content such as when you click onto something and it shows an animation, maybe people will be more interested to click on it.
Also, maybe for the content that we want to post in social media and then the storytelling itself, it must align with everywhere core value so that our customer can know what the visions behind eyewears. And also, we want to spread the news about sustainability, innovations, or community. And also, I think we can engage more in storytelling format to short content video, and then we post it into Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts, maybe.
If that sums it up, we're going to move on to the next question. So for this next batch of questions, we want you guys to discuss for 5 minutes for each question. So you may start to discuss with your partner. After 5 minutes, you guys may answer the question for number one. I'm sorry, number four.
For number four, so the questions is how can we measure success differently in this new campaign to ensure our design effort are aligned with client goals? For me, the first one is to move beyond traditional metrics. While traditional metrics like sales and website traffic are important, the new campaigns should incorporate a broader set of success indicators to capture the full impact of design improvement. How about others? Akhtar, maybe?
For number four, I believe that we can like set like a clear, specific KPIs that aligns with the client goals. And that is all from me.
I want to add, I think we should also set the clear KPIs such as design centric, clarity score, and emotional responses. What do you guys think? You guys want to add something more for the KPI?
I want to add for the KPIs, maybe we can add business KPIs by having the conversion rates tied specifically to redesign assets and increase in repeated visits, or customer retention, which indicates lasting the brand affinity.
I also want to add another measuring tools is that we should use the A/B testing more frequently, not only on the pre-launch but throughout the campaign. So like it's not only like one time tools, but we we want to use it like every time, so we can get more accurate data from it.
Yes, I feel like it will be better to do that because we could regularly collect and analyze feedback to quickly pivot if certain visuals or messages are underperformed.
I think we can also use bitmaps and code trading to measure interactions and engagement with the design.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
Because like like the previous case study on LinkedIn, the usage on the laptop and mobile phone is different because of the designs and the components, and we should also track and evaluate the heat maps, the CTR and CTA when it comes to multi-channel attribution. So I think we should pay more attention to that.
I guess maybe for the last one, maybe we can add another uh, business KPIs, which is measure ethical and inclusivity impact. If I were emphasize diversity and sustainability, metrics that assess how well this value are communicated and received to customers. For example, track mentions or sentiment related to inclusivity and ethical practice in user conversations and media coverage. I think for uh,
Okay, I think that's enough for the fourth question. Now we are going to move on for the fifth, which is going to be what kinds of A or B tests or small experiments could we run before launching the full campaign? You guys may discuss with your partners.
for number five, what kind of A/B test or small experiment could we run before launching the full campaign? I think the first one is visual design variations, like color scheme. We need to test a different color palettes. Example for like we compare between bold versus muted tones to see which better captures intentions, and also that which color they align with our brand perceptions. And we need to make a hero image, like compare the impact of different main image and on landing page or ads such as product focus shots versus lifestyles image featuring people. And last one for visual design variation is layout and composition, I guess. Experiment with minimalist versus more detailed layouts to determine which drive better engagement and also clarity. How about others?
I
Okay.
agree with you.
Yeah.
And maybe if I want to add, maybe we can like use messaging and copy, where we can test like alternative headlines or slogans to identify which resonates more clearly and emotionally with the audience, especially that we targeted.
Uh, and I think we should also add the tone and voice into the messaging and copy things because, for example, we can experiment with more formal and or casual or playful language to match the audience preferences. Because especially in this fashion brand, I think it's important to adjust the tone and voice to the to different kind of audience.
Yeah, I agree with all of the opinions. I think that all of those contents and variations should blend together so that it will be pleasing in the eyes of the customers. And I want to also add audience segmentation and demographic test the targeting, which could be run through tests targeting different age groups, genders, or locations to tailor messaging and visuals accordingly.
I
I think
also
we should
want
also. Oh, sorry, Alia,
sorry.
go first.
Okay. I also want to add one more. Maybe we should implement channel specific tests for platform variations by testing how the same creative performs on different platforms, for example, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, and also to optimize the format and messaging per channel, and also experimenting with different ad placements such as the feed, stories, reels, and also posting times to maximize each of the reach and the engagement.
And I think we can think about virtual speed and mobile optimization, like experiment with optimized version to ensure fast-loading and seamless mobile experience.
I also want to add to Chilla's suggestion. I think we should also add like interest-based segments because, for example, we could test the clients the sustainability focused versus the fashion trend. Which one is more? Which one we should prioritize more? Yeah.
I think that sums all the group discussion. Now we are going to move to the sixth and final question, which is going to be what should the final visual interaction say about the eyewear brand emotionally, aesthetically, and ethically? You guys may discuss now.
Okay, for the last questions, maybe to what should the final visual direction say about the eyewear brand and emotionally, aesthetically, and ethically? I think for I'm gonna speak in emotionally side. The first one is to evoke connections and empowerment. We need to enhance our confidence and also authenticity. For example, the visual should inspire confidence in the where showing everywhere as a brand that celebrates individuality and self-expressions, and also relatable people wearing the clothes in authentic moments create emotional resonance. So we need to form kind of connections to our customers that can enhance our confidence and also authenticity of our brand.
I think we should also add inclusivity and belonging. Like the campaign should convey a sense of community and inclusiveness that will make everyone feel welcome and represented, regardless of their background, body type, or lifestyle. Also, maybe the inspiration and aspiration. by using storytelling that motivates the audience to embrace their unique style and live boldly, positioning everywhere as a partner in their personal journey.
I agree with Chila and Gilar for the emotionally, and maybe I want to add for the aesthetically, where I believe that the visual direction is going to be modern, clean, and also fashion forward, sleek and minimalist design, where a clean, uncluttered aesthetic with a cohesive color palette and typography that reflects contemporary fashion trends. This will help this will help communicate sophistication and also the quality.
And I think we should also add the bold yet balanced visual for the brand, and we will use striking photography and dynamic composition that catch the eye, but maintain the harmony and clarity. And also, we we also have to have consistent brand identity. So we will ensure all the visual elements from the product shots to social media, and every our campaign uses uh the same theme color so that it doesn't ruin the brand identity.
Okay, lastly, for the ethical considerations, we think it should be inclusive, sustainable, and responsible, and also diverse and has representation by showcasing a wide range of models representing different ethnicities, ages, body types, and gender identities to reflect the everywhere brands' commitment to their inclusivity.
And also, we need to add sustainability messaging, like if sustainability is part of everywhere's values, then it's probably incorporate eco-friendly such as natural settings, recycled materials, or behind-the-scenes stories about ethical production to communicate responsibility without being key. And lastly, we need to respect and authenticity, like avoid stereotypes or tokenism, ensure that all representations are genuine and respectful, reinforcing the brand's ethical stance.
Do you guys want to add any more opinion? If not, I think we can wrap this FGD. Good job, guys. So before we wrap it up, I want to also show you guys about how decisions backed by data and forecasting are 79% more likely to meet business objective. So this stat show us today session when design decisions are backed by real data and trend forecasting, they are more likely to succeed. This means your creative choices become not just beautiful but strategic, and that's what clients really need. So to wrap it up, I think we've learned that great design isn't just about creativity; it's also about strategy. By looking at past data, following current trends, and understanding that of what our audience really want, I think we can make smarter design decisions that actually drive results. So this design impact forecasting helps us to reduce guesswork, avoid repeating past mistake, and build visual that connect and convert. So I think that's enough for this fourth session. We can continue to our nearing post test.
Okay, so for the post test, you guys can scan the QR code or retype the link on this slide. and then you guys are given 10 minutes to finish the post test. Starting now. And the link is also provided in the chat.
If you're done with the post test, you can also directly fill in the feedback form.
We are missing one more person. Whoever is not yet finished with the evaluation form or the post test can hurry up and finish, since we're going to close the session for today. Okay, so I believe you guys have all done the required test and feedback. We would like to thank you all for coming to this session today. Hopefully, this training session will help you guys become a better creative design supervisor, and hopefully our company will be better. Thank you all for coming to today's session. Signing out.